Welcome to the Everyday Why the channel, where we uncover the hidden logic behind the things you see every single day, but rarely question. Simple stories, clear explanations, no jargon. Today, we're getting into, well, a tiny detail that kind of freaks people out.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it is great to be back talking about this sort of invisible engineering.
So, I want you to picture this. You're in a window seat. You're at like 35,000 feet up.
Right.
You're leaning against the glass. Maybe you're trying to take a photo of the clouds, and then you look down at the bottom of the window. And that is when you spot it. Just this tiny, solitary hole drilled right into the pane.
It's genuinely unnerving the first time you see it because, you're sitting inside this pressurized metal tube. The air outside is completely unbreathable, and there just seems to be a physical puncture right in the hull.
Exactly. It looks like a mistake, or worse, like the start of a crack or something.
Right, but when you look at the engineering specs of modern airliners, that little gap is actually intentional. Technically, it's called the bleed hole, and it's basically a stroke of genius.
So it's not a defect. It's actually the reason the window doesn't just explode outwards.
Yeah, exactly. To really understand why, we have to respect what I like to call the invisible war happening on either side of that plastic.
The huge pressure difference.
Right. Outside at cruising altitude, the atmosphere is incredibly thin and it's like 60 degrees below zero?
Yeah.
But inside, we have this nice, warm, pressurized cabin.
Right, so we have all this high pressure inside pushing outward with just massive force. It's trying to expand into the low pressure outside. Basically, the fuselage is a giant balloon trying its hardest not to pop.
Precisely. And the windows are obvious potential weak points in that balloon. So to handle that massive stress, they don't just stick a single piece of glass into a frame. They use a sandwich of 3 separate layers of stretched acrylic.
And I think this is where most of us get it wrong. We touch that inner pane, the one right next to our shoulder, and we assume that's the window.
Yeah, people tap on it all the time.
Yeah.
But that inner layer is totally non-structural. It's a scratch shield, basically. It's just there to keep passengers from scratching the important stuff or getting fingerprints everywhere.
So it's just a cover. The real work is happening in the next 2 layers, the middle pane and the outer pane.
Correct. The outer pane is the heavy lifter. It's the one actually facing the clouds and holding back the atmosphere. But the middle pane is the really interesting one.
Because it's essentially a backup generator that's always running.
Think of it as a failsafe. It's designed to hold the full cabin pressure if the outer pane shatters, like if there's a bird strike or intense hail. But here's the real engineering challenge. For a backup to be effective, it has to be preserved. You do not want your backup layer getting stressed out and fatigued during normal everyday flights.
You want it fresh, and that is exactly where the hole comes in.
Exactly. The bleed hole is drilled only through that middle pane, nowhere else. It acts as a pressure valve, allowing the cabin pressure to basically bleed through the middle pane and fill the tiny air gap between the middle and outer layers.
So mechanically, the pressure equalizes. Since the pressure is the exact same on both the front and the back of that middle pane, the glass effectively does no work at all. It just sits there, relaxed.
You nailed it. By equalizing that space, we force the outer pane to take 100% of the structural load. The hole ensures the middle pane stays completely unstressed and ready to take over instantly, if, and only if, the outer pane fails.
It is such a smart way to manage redundancy. You're using the air pressure itself to divert the physical load to the strongest part of the assembly.
And there's a nice side effect, too, for those of us who just want a good view out the window.
Oh, they were clear view bonus.
Exactly. If that air gap was sealed completely tight, the massive temperature difference between the freezing outside air and the warm cabin would fog that window up instantly.
Right, you wouldn't be able to see a thing.
The bleed hole keeps air circulating between the panes. That prevents moisture from getting trapped and freezing over. So when you're taking that photo of the sunset, you can literally thank the bleed hole for keeping your view clear.
It really summarizes the whole philosophy of aviation engineering. Nothing is accidental. Every curve, every bolt, and every tiny hole exists for a very specific reason.
It definitely teaches you to question the design of the world around you. Safety so often relies on these incredibly small design choices.
Which leaves me with a thought for you to chew on next time you fly. If a tiny hole is saving the window, what do you think those little black triangles painted above certain seats are doing? Take a look next time. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more everyday mysteries explained simply. See you in the next one.